Good game, guys. Good game.
Who dares wins?
Nice, man. Oh, come on. I'm fed up of this. Skill-based matchmaking has been around for donkey's years. I'll be honest with you, I've jumped back and forth on this subject over the years, but my current viewpoint is one based on my own experience, the research I've done, and also speaking with my gaming buddies over the years. Today, I'm going to crack this entire thing open and go over the good, the bad, and the downright ugly when it comes to using skill-based matchmaking in a casual environment. I'm also going to tell you how to get some free games, no money or subscriptions needed, I promise, so stick around. Relax back, I've got this, we'll take it from here. Hey everybody, my name is Ultimate Phalanx. I'm a variety streamer over at twitch.tv/ultimatephalanx, and today I'm going to be going into the current discussion surrounding skill-based matchmaking and how it works with casual multiplayer. We're going to go over whether or not skill-based matchmaking should even be a thing in casual multiplayer, along with how the gaming community is reacting to the discussion, especially now with the newly released Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. I'll be looking at a few well-known gamers online and their responses to the issues at hand as well, so let's grab a drink, settle down and get started. The real benefit that comes from skill-based matchmaking at its most pure and basic form is the ability to be paired with and against people of your own level. This means you're facing off against people who provide you with a balanced challenge, and also teamed with people who are able to support you in that challenge, with a skill level that matches yours in terms of, shot calling, accuracy, and teamwork. This matchmaking style means that you end up moving up the ranks in terms of being a team player, a shot caller, and or generally a good player, until you match a level where you will find yourself losing as often as you win. Let's call this your soft cap. This is where your skill actually is at the present time, and where people around you provide the challenge that you find fun regardless of whether you win or lose. The general idea is that at this point, you become aware of your cap and begin to better yourself, whether it's through better targeting, better accuracy, more shot calling, more strategic or tactical thinking, or any combination of the above. Slowly but surely, your skill level begins to rise again, and you find yourself entrenched in a new level of matchmaking with, again, similar-minded players. Sounds great, right? It is. Except, that's not always how it goes. What I gave you there is a perfect world scenario. It means that with everything considered and enough players to pair you with and against, things are perfect for you to have a great game no matter what the outcome is. But real life isn't always like that, let's be honest. You'll find people who are better than you, worse than you, having their account boosted, or even come across the odd pro player who's decided to play on a new account. They can all ruin the algorithm, and that's not an exhaustive list that I've given you there. Let's be honest here, there's no such thing as a perfect skill-based matchmaking system. Sure, there are some good versions, and as time has gone on, these have been implemented better and better. But let's take a look at it from the general gamer perspective. Most players are casual gamers. Imagine you come home from a hard day's work, fire up your favourite shooter like Call of Duty, Halo, Battlefield, or any of those games for instance, and jump into multiplayer. You've got time for a handful of games, 2 or 3 maybe, before you have to get on with your other duties as a responsible adult. Ugh. So, you'd like those games to be fun and engaging rounds where you feel like you're not wasting your time, right? Well, now imagine instead of being matched against people of your level, that the skill-based matchmaking is just turned off, and you end up with 2 to 3 players, either on your side or against you, or a combination of such, who play professionally. They know the maps, they know the weapon spawns, along with where the players are going to spawn, and they have insane accuracy and awareness. You end your games feeling like you wasted your time, did barely anything or match, and stared at the respawn screen most of the night. Okay, so that's an extreme example, but the basic benefits of Sbmm, or skill-based matchmaking, become apparent in that example. Ensuring a more balanced, competitive match to players of any skill level is going to offer people more incentive to continue playing. I've been there, playing games where I've been absolutely steamrolled. I've vowed to quit the game, uninstall it from my computer, and, tell all my friends not to buy this piece of crap game and let's go play something else instead. It's frustrating, and because I've spent money on the game, I feel a sense of, vindication, or my opinion is worth something, and it ends up coming to loggerheads with someone online sooner or later because, well, that's just human nature. We all like to give our opinion on things. Sbmm is the saviour, right? Well, let's have a look at the flip side. Before we do go on to the bad side of Sbmm, if this video is the kind of thing you like to see, consider subscribing. It really helps us out, and I've got lots more content coming soon. Perhaps check us out on Twitch too. Our streaming community gives away loads of games with no catches other than a bit of your time on our Discord. So come say hi and see if there's anything you fancy. Tell me what you think about skill-based matchmaking and whether it's a good or bad thing to you. Comment below, I'll get back to you. Now, let's get back to the other part I promised you. So there are a few potential issues with Sbmm. The people who shout the loudest on these fronts do actually tend to be streamers, pro players, and more competitive players. It's ironic really, as I'm a streamer, but I don't feel that Sbmm is an issue directly. I'll talk about how I would fix this shortly, so keep watching. The main complaint is that Sbmm systems aren't usually made for the more serious players. This is where the issue comes. Grouping high-end players with other high-end players all the time can make it hard for those people to sit down and enjoy a game casually. There's just no off switch, you can't relax. They're facing other high-level players, so there's never really a chance to just, slow down when playing, which, as you can imagine, can cause some seriously high-tension games, and I can imagine rocketing stress levels. Imagine having to play constantly with 100% focus and skill, with no point where you can relax. I can appreciate this side of the argument. Then there are some games that use Sbmm to stop high-level players teaming up with low-level players, which can cause issues like being stuck in a queue constantly, or even stopping the play entirely. The other side of Sbmm is that the top-tier players are waiting in lobbies for longer, as the system is looking for other similar skilled players for them that could take either a long time to find or quite possibly never arrive, depending on the time of day or the age of the game. Streamers like DrDisrespect have chimed in on the matter, with the man himself saying that skill-based matchmaking is about money, and I can see that. If you've got people who are enjoying the game in general, because you're generalizing out to your player base, they're going to stay. They're going to spend money on the DLCs, on the unlockables. They're going to buy expansion packs, and they're going to buy future titles. It just makes sense. And, good challenges for players in general mean that a game will continue to be played, and it keeps the population of that game up. It's a good thing overall. So, yeah, I get why DrDisrespect is saying that it's about making money. It makes sense, and it kind of works the best for most people, if you see what I mean. An interesting take on the issue actually came up on Twitter recently, with Call of Duty pro player Octane, who tweeted, "Cold War pubs is some of the most fun I've had in a long time. I haven't been able to stream 6+ hours of pub games in years without getting burnt out." Now, it seems Octane, also known as Sam in real life, doesn't feel that he gets affected by skill-based matchmaking as much as other pro players. And when he was called out by other people on Twitter, he then admitted that a few of the games can become a struggle, but in general, in the broad spectrum of things, it seems he feels Sbmm just doesn't cause his games to become sweaty. So generally what he's finding is that he's okay with it. Now, if there isn't Sbmm, if it's not being used, then that gives you faster queue times, because simply the algorithm doesn't have to run to find you people of the same skill level as you. It will simply find, if it's a 4v4 for example, it will find 8 players and put you on the team with 3 others, and then drop the other 4 on the other team, and away you go. It's one of the benefits, certainly, of not using skill-based matchmaking. And then we have frustration to losers of stacked matches. Like I said, if you have 4 pros on one side and 4 people who've just started playing the game, the frustration is massive for those people who get stomped and destroyed, because they feel like, well, there should be a system in place to kind of guide them, or at the very least hold their hand a little bit just in the first stages. And a lack of SBMM also gives the benefit to a small group of players. The skill gap is a curve, and it's got a negative top to it. So the idea is that your skill will increase rapidly at the beginning, and as you reach towards the top end of this skill gap, your line, your curve of skill kind of peters out to a flat line much quicker nearer the top than it does nearer the beginning of the curve. And the idea is that the small group of players at the beginning will find it very, very frustrating, and that's where as I mentioned before, the frustration of losing to a stacked match comes into play. But the benefit to a small group of players is that they can have their account dragged up by these other better players, and eventually, in the best world environments, everyone should reach the top end of that skill gap at some point on that curve that we talked about on the graph. The idea being that you're playing against everyone at the very top of that skill graph, and rather than having people spread around everywhere in a perfect environment. I get that, but perhaps it just doesn't have to be one way or the other here. How about this? In a recent conversation I had with a friend of mine online, we discussed skill-based matchmaking and what he and I thought on it. After some, few moments thinking about the issues, we figured a possible workaround. Tell me what you think. There should be a skill-based matchmaking. Of that I have no doubt. The problem is, without SBMM, the teams can end up in casual situations with a chunk of top-level players on one side and brand new players on the other. It's a possibility, and it happens more often than we see. SBMM stops that. Then casual becomes competitive without anyone realising, because competitive players play competitive no matter where they are. Yes, when a casual player plays in the competitive playlists, they're acutely aware of the fact that they clicked competitive and not casual, so they will try their hardest to be the best player they can, generally. But when a pro player or a competitive player clicks on the casual playlist, yes, they have the kind of relaxed attitude surrounding the idea that they did click casual and there's not that pressure to perform all the time. However, a pro player who plays in the casual playlist will have an inherently higher skill level than most people who are at a good level on casual, because they're simply used to playing at a higher level more consistently. And when they do come into a casual playlist, you'll find that the general casual players will find themselves simply outplayed, even though the pro player may not be trying or particularly worried if they pull off their 360 no-scope shot. Then they, the casual players, get steamrolled and either A, quit the game, or B, complain about a lack of skill-based matchmaking. It's a bit of a catch-22, really. If I were a dev and wanted to cater to both environments, I'd put a toggle option in the settings menu of any game to disable my skill-based matchmaking rank. But it would put an icon in-game next to my name saying that I did so. So if I start complaining about stacked teams, people can know I brought it on myself because I chose that I wanted the faster queuing times, for example. But they do realise that I turned it off to get those faster queuing times, and in exchange I might end up on a team with people who are just starting out in the game. I could end up on a team with people who've been playing for decades, but yeah, it's possible, I guess, but it's never happened to me, that's for sure. There's a similar thing in Halo the Master Chief Collection on PC now, and it works perfectly. If you choose to play mixed controls, where you have controller players and keyboard and mouse players mixed into one game, it tells players whether you're on a controller or you're on a keyboard. So when you start smack talking and you're on a controller, which has an inherent aim assist built into it, you get a rain of people who, well, destroy you because controller has the aim assist. So everyone knows it's like a self-policing system. And it's similar with skill-based matchmaking, I would say. Make a mark that shows that you turned off SBMM, so when you do decide to complain, the other players will take care of it and, I don't know, socially shame you. I never thought we'd come to this in this day and age, with having to deal with people who want everything their way and can't understand that it's for a greater good. But that's how I would deal with it anyway. I feel like that's the only way around it, is the kind of self-policing of that game's community. Because if you choose one way, let's say you choose to have Sbmm on, you're always going to have people complaining, saying, I want faster queues, I don't really worry, I don't want to be constantly at my top level of gaming. And then you have people who go, well, let's turn it off. And then you turn it off, yes, great, you get faster queues, but then you also get stacked teams, you get pro players put in against people who are playing their first game. It'll be chaos, it really will. I think this is a good balance between the two, having the ability to show people what you chose to do. So if you decided to turn Sbmm off, people could see that, and then if you decide to complain because you're getting steamrolled, well, you brought it on yourself. What can I say? Likewise, if you decide to turn Sbmm off and you end up on a team of stacked pro players and you start smack talking that you're kicking the crap out of the other side, well, what can you really say? I mean, you decided that the game you wanted to play shouldn't be balanced. I mean, I don't know. Is that fun? I wouldn't find that fun. I don't know about you. I really wouldn't find that fun. I can't imagine that being any kind of fun. Like, everyone likes winning, but I'd rather work for my win. I'd rather know that I put some effort into it and not got carried hard by those pro players who decided to join the casual playlist. Love it or loathe it, skill-based matchmaking is here to stay in one form or another. Perhaps my idea has some merit, or perhaps it has none, but I think it's better than simply leaving things at one extreme or the other. Why don't you comment below and tell me what you think? If you like this content, please consider subscribing and check out my other stuff. Leave a like and don't forget to answer the question of the day. I'll see you later.